Thank you so much. Hello and welcome. Today, you have heard already quite a lot of presentations and inspiration about social and how transformative it is for our customers internally and externally. My aim or my huge vision and dream is that I work for an organization that is quite mature within social media and is a social first organization. So just to get everyone on the same dream, please don't take your phones out. You can tweet later. Close your eyes and just imagine that you go to your workplace tomorrow in the morning. Everyone knows who you are, what you do, and what is the impact of your work for business. You have all the tools that you need to get that social listening, to have those dashboards. Everyone at event marketing thinks about social or digital first before they start to plan the event. So it's not just an afterthought that, oh, by the way, tomorrow or in 2 hours we have this event. Can you tweet something about it? That's what I would like to see and go to work. Is there anyone in the room who lives this dream? Oh, there's one person. Good. So maybe you can just go out and have a coffee, but at least I have the other more than 400 people to listen to. So what I thought that I think it's not that easy to transform a company, and social is easy, as they said, and the whole event says that it's easy to be there, but it is quite difficult, and it takes a lot of hard work, at least in my opinion, to transform an organization to be social first. I brought you 6 pillars, what I hope you can take back home, and it will help you to transform your organization. And I think these are valid whenever it's a small one or a big one. And Martin mentioned that Ericsson has a heritage, and sometimes that can be good, and sometimes that can be bad. So it's a really, really big organization which moves usually really slow. And I feel that I'm the one, or at least I felt like 6 or 7 years ago, that I'm the one who's there, and as you can see, I'm wearing high heels, so I look a little bit taller. I'm the tiny one is trying to push that huge organization that something is going to happen. And many times it was frustrating, but finally, after 6 or 7 years, with many people on my side, we are trying to move that train, and we are moving actually faster and faster. So the first pillar, what I think is a key for success, and it is really, really good to secure, is the leadership buy-in. How many of you have your CEO or your leadership supporting you, and they believe that social is important for your organization? Good. I think that is like super good, because if that is not there, then you cannot get budget, you cannot get people in the team. If they don't understand it, then you really, really need to sell it to them. For some of you who don't have that buy-in, a couple of tips what you can do. I think many times it is not good to look at others, how others are living their lives, but whenever it comes to business, it can be a really powerful tool to actually show what competitors are doing. Because that's what leadership cares about, that how can we be better than competitors? If they are better on social, you can use that as a tool internally to convince them. Make a business case. Show insights, what you can learn and what they can learn, what they can use in their business. We heard previously that whenever we talk about KPIs and social organic and paid and dark posts, they just blur because they don't understand. Talk the language, what they understand, and that's ROI and impact. And there are a few ways how you can choose those KPIs where you can actually prove that what is the value. Make them being comfortable with social. Because what I've seen many times that they see and they start to feel that they have read it, they have seen it on YouTube, or maybe their kids are doing it, but they are unsecure that what they should do and what they shouldn't do or how to use it. And many times when you go to different management classes, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago when I took the 5 choices for highly effective people. And social media was seen as a time waster. And I was like, wait. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like if it's mindless scrolling, of course. But if you use it strategically to build your own brand and your companies, that can be just as a tool like Google Maps, that I want to go from here to there, and I use it, or ordering pizza. I want to order it, I don't do anything else with the app. What do I want to use social for? And if they understand that, and if they are comfortable, that can also help you to work with them a little bit closer. Encourage them to lead by example. Of course, we have a huge organization in many cultures. It's still quite autocratic. So whenever a manager tweets or has a post on LinkedIn, you can see all the employees are liking or making comments, this is awesome, this is great. So it's not just for customers, but also for internal communication. One of my colleagues actually did an experiment. He created a post about his 10,000 days at Ericsson. And then he took the insights, and it showed that most of it was actually viewed by non-Ericsson people. And he got tons of engagement. So again, coming back to some of the previous presentations, speak to people. Marketing messages don't really work. I think it's like we all know. We connect with people. And share results with them. Whether you have employee advocacy, social listening, events, share the results and share the KPIs or the impact that also makes sense for them. The next one after leadership buy-in is policies and guidelines. How many of you have at least the social media policy or guidelines in place within your organization? Wow, actually I thought that that would be a lot more. For me, I know I really, really hate writing policies and guidelines. It's really a struggle for me. It was last year when I had to actually merge like 2 or 3 of them into one, and it had to go through tons of approval. But once it was ready, I was like, okay. And it's actually 3 pages, and I was really happy with that. But of course, that is still so boring. And this is why we are making it a little bit more fun, creating all sorts of videos, how to explain it and how to bring it closer to people. Our social media policy has to speak to 118,000 people. Each of them has to understand what they can do, what they cannot do, what they need to update their profile. If they are advocating on behalf of Ericsson or making comments, when can they do that, when cannot they do that? Can they use branded images? Can they use the logo or the fonts or not? So we have to secure what is the playground, what they can play in. And actually it helps them to know that this is something that I can post about, and the whole company encourages me, and be security aware, just coming back to Zero Fox, that whenever you have your badges, you shouldn't take selfies, because you can see all the information and someone can just like print it out and come to the office. Whenever managers are traveling, do we want them to be social? Of course. Do we want them to tweet 2 days before they go to an event? Do we want the competition to know where they are? Or should they just post after it? So there are so many questions, and not everything is black and white. And this is why we are also trying to do the Q&As, the frequently asked questions, to really support everyone that they can actually know and be social, but in a thoughtful way. Third one, redefining roles. Many of us are still working in silos. So we have the web team, we have maybe SEO, SEM, content creators, event team, social media, what else? Brands, corporate communication, and everyone works in their own silos. That is not working anymore. When we have a social media campaign, the website has to be ready for that. If your call to action is at the bottom, no one's going to click. and all of the money was wasted. So redefining roles in projects, I think, is super important. Who does what? Sharing the information in between each other. The last event what we had, and that's the biggest one for Ericsson, and that's Mobile World Congress, and that's massive. So I think the event team already started to work with it for next February. And this was the first time when all of us really felt that we worked as a team. So we had daily check-ins after all the preparation just on site with the influencers, with our employee advocacy manager, with social listening, social paid, social organic, our community manager, SEO, SEM, banners, and native advertisement. I think that was it, yeah. And it was just amazing that, sharing information, this is what we see, this is what competition is doing, this is our objective, how can we get ahead of that? This is working, this is like, we got so much user-generated content, what do we do with it? How do we use it in the best way? And for me, besides that we rocked all the numbers and KPIs, the biggest thing was that, oh my God, finally, it was like a huge step. And I'd like to keep this up for all upcoming projects, that we really work as a team. And many times it's not that easy, and I think coming back to Will's example, that how fast you can get through, or the pilot, the loop. First time when all these teams are working together, it's not going to be the most seamless. There are going to be different learning parts. But I think if we practice and practice that who does what information, who needs what stage at a campaign or everyday life, that makes a huge difference. And of course, lead by example. Drive that change. Try to talk to people. My favorite part is the training or education. I really, really believe in this. We have 180 countries. So many people working maybe part-time with social, not fully. We have 118,000 employees, as I said, from engineers, different cultures, different backgrounds, different age groups, different personalities. You have the experts who are the engineers and they care about facts. You have salespeople who believe that face-to-face or wine and dining in B2B is still something that how business should be done. And you challenge them that, what do you think about insight-based selling or social selling? And they go like, yeah, so do you want me to tweet? It was like, no, but maybe LinkedIn could be something. Or maybe if you're a speaker, you should be on Twitter. And training, I think, is super important. So what we are trying to do now, we had a lot of trials, and this is the time when we are creating a framework for all employees, what they need to do. And we try to think about them as like internal target audience with the different backgrounds. There are some of them who still don't want to be social. So then we have like, have you Googled yourself? If not, probably your customer did. What do you find there? Are you happy with that? Or do you want to change that perception? How do you want to change that? There are many who are actually reaching out to us that I want to do something, but I don't dare to. I don't know how to. And I have a really good colleague, Gustav, who's leading our employee advocacy program, and he has now all these gigs because he's getting booked. So I was like, okay, we have to find a different solution, because people just kept saying that, oh my God, his trainings are so good. And sometimes he gives, tips that, okay, you don't dare to share, maybe you can just go into our Team Ericsson app and share something. If it's even such a big step, take the next one. The first week, make 5 comments. And people came back that, oh my God, it worked, really, and they got back to me. And I made a comment. So these are small steps, but these are driving change. And it's an instant reward for people, and they didn't dare. And there was someone who encouraged them. And it takes time, but I think it is really, really appreciated. One of my other favorite thing, and I'm not Swedish, and I know that many of you know about the Swedish tradition fika. If not, I've heard, I made my research that Danes also like their coffee and cakes. You just don't have the word for fika. And in Sweden, that's what we also started to do. The 2:30, actually we should have a fika now. At the 2:30 fikas could be about social, that people are exchanging ideas. More social savvy people are talking to the ones who are not that savvy, and they are sharing. And this also brings up social or the discussions that what is happening, information sharing and flow. And this works also in India, in Mexico, in Chile. My favorite, I want to go to the Caribbean, so maybe after my global role, I would like to manage the Caribbean channels, and I really hope that I should be there and I can introduce fika. So we can have all these gorgeous pictures of base stations in the Caribbean islands, or maybe surfing in Hawaii and looking at the base stations. I have coverage. Knowledge sharing. I found that really hard, at least for myself, because I like to see things happen. And for me, like knowledge sharing, yeah, I mean, we have been there, done that, and it's like, yeah. But it's not evident for many people. And I realized that I have to take the time to actually share good and best practices and also things that didn't work, because that's what also the other parts of the organization can learn from. And many times when actually I dared to say that, okay, this didn't work, they were like, really? You said that? Not everything was perfect? I was like, no, this worked, this didn't work, so we have to make these changes. And they really appreciated that. Coaching. I've already mentioned that when we team up savvy and not savvy people, it works. I think we tried different versions with executives, for example. One was when the corporate teams or communication teams tried to build their profile up, and they were tweeting or posting on LinkedIn instead of them. And they were like, okay, here you go. Now it's your turn. There are still one or two parts of the organization who are trying this. What we have seen, it didn't really work, because then they got lazy and they were like, yeah, we have a team, you know, they are doing it. For me, it's not authentic, and they will not keep, they didn't get used to it. So they didn't have that instant reward. They didn't see what insights are coming in, and they didn't really have a strategy that, why am I doing this? Do I want to change my perception internally, externally with customers? What content do I need, and how do I engage? So I really believe in the small steps and really holding their hands whenever they are insecure, and get small goals. First week, make 5 comments. Second week, spend 5 minutes while you're drinking in your morning coffee, getting insights. What did you learn about your customers? What are they posting about? What did you learn about your colleagues? Is there something what you can share also at the next management meeting? So these are also like small tips and tricks, I think, what are really usable. Feedback and recognition. Everyone likes to be recognized. And I also realized in our team that many times we didn't take the time to celebrate success, even small ones. We just said, okay, we have to get better with this and that and that. And when we stopped and we said that, well, actually, he or she did a great job. Can you talk about it? It felt good, and they were, of course, like happy to share. And recognition is super important. So this is why we gamified our employee advocacy program. Of course, we have engineers and software developers, so the first couple of years they tried to hack the system, so we had to have chats with them that, well, you know, it's like, yeah, we also know like how it works, so maybe we should play by the rules. And we had to adapt, and then we had different issues. So actually, how we were maturing in every step, we have seen totally different problems or challenges what we had to face. But this was super important for us, and we have seen that whenever we started, even internal articles or leadership or management was bringing up some of the good examples, it really encouraged people to share more. And I think we shouldn't forget about it that tools or anything that we create should be easy to use and fun. So again, we are humans, and all of our colleagues internally are also humans. So with a social media management system, if everything is not at one place, the images, the social media scripts, it's not easy to find or collaborate with each other, but you still have to go to SharePoint, Google Docs, or find it in Brand House and like 5, 6 different places, they're not going to use it. And adoption is actually the most challenging one. Buying a tool, yeah, finally you got the budget, but the adoption rate, that will people use it, is really, really a big challenge. Also for employees, an app. Of course, we have like a desktop version of our hashtag Team Ericsson Employee Advocacy. 6 or 7 years ago, we started to do that with emails. And of course, like I'm here today, I don't check my emails. But through the app, I saw the notification that here's a press release. This is today's biggest news. And it's so much easier for me to share. Our phones are always with us. And of course, notifications, just like all other social, makes it easy for us. But we've also used it for crisis communication. So I don't know if any of you heard, hopefully not. In December, just one day before I went for my vacation, O2 network in the UK was down. And that was thanks to Ericsson. And of course, no one knows what we do. They still think that we do the phones, but whenever a network is down and no one can make a phone call, they cannot do any bank transactions, then Ericsson is there. It's their fault. And we used it as a crisis communication tool that we notified all the employees who are part of our employee advocacy program that this is, if you see any comments, please do not engage. Media relations is taking care of it, and we from the social team. If you think that something needs our attention, please let us know, but don't engage in any type of communication. So I still have 2 minutes. Did you arrange that, or is it going to be a party? Yeah, it's the fun part. We haven't done that before, but let's do that. Yeah, I think it's making it fun and easy. So these were my 6 pillars that I really believe can make a huge impact transforming any company internally. Because many times that's the challenge. If they don't understand what social organic is for, what content or pictures do we need there, why is it important that if there's a trade show that someone needs to be there, it's not enough that someone will take a really crappy picture and, oh, you can post it on social. It has to have a purpose. If they create a report or anything, social has to be there from the beginning. So I really love the playbook from Bangalore. So I think I'm going to steal it because we have many guidelines all over the places. But like having a playbook, which everything is in one place, what you should do, like social media managers or content creators. How should you think about social? It's not just organic, but can we slice it and dice it? How do we take it to Instagram stories? What paid needs to be there? And they don't need to understand everything. They just need to know what is relevant for their own business. So I really, really hope that these pillars or steps have been useful. You can take them home. I think sometimes these can be overwhelming, so how I deal with them, I break them down. The next quarter, these are the main steps that we would like to take. So I think progress is a lot more important than getting overwhelmed that, okay, we are here and we want to be there and we're never going to make it, and you try to focus on everything. Focus on the things that make the biggest impact and start that slow progression, and I think after a while, that really, really slow one is going to fasten up. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thanks, Anita. I love your 6 different pillars. I think we have a tradition here in Scandinavia, and I think maybe particularly in Sweden, that employees' organizations are very empowered. And I think you are, I guess, in Sweden, a little more consensus-based. How do you reconcile, and you're a huge complex organization way beyond Sweden, with a lot of employees worldwide, I guess, in all cultures. How do you reconcile between being centralized and decentralized, empowering people out there in all the cultures there? How do you keep track? Because you run it, you lead it, but you also want to make sure you have people behind you. So how do you reconcile it? What are some of the tricks here?
Thank you for that. Sometimes it's not easy, and I think this is when different cultures or different parts of the organization actually are different. So sometimes I have to go and say that, no, you cannot do this. But I also have to show I believe in the education part. I like to show it to them that why not. So there are the global service centers when Ericsson takes over telecom operators' networks. And there are young professionals, 20, 22-year-olds. That's their first job. And they are used to tweeting about or posting on Instagram about their dinner, whatever they do. But of course, they shouldn't do that from any top secret monitors or networks. And this is when I start to tell them that, okay, you're in a business environment now. Do you really want your manager or all your colleagues to see your bikini pictures or how you partied and got drunk? Is this really it was really cool in uni, but if you would like to have a career either here or outside of Ericsson, doesn't really matter, this is what people will see. Is that really professional? For managers, we also have specific trainings for line managers that actually how can they take these discussions. So banning social is not the solution. Teaching them that be respectful. If you are taking selfies or pictures from your colleagues, just be nice and ask them that, are you okay if I post it? It doesn't take a lot of time. So I think it's really few times when I would go say like, okay, no, you stop that right now. I really like people to understand what are the implications and really bringing them on board that they would also do the same or understand.
So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
But it seems to run very well. I really love your pillars. Please give Anita a warm round of applause. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. So